Okay, good morning.
Okay, good morning. We are in Shulchan Aruch, Sefeis. This was Píkuach Nefesh. So the Shulchan Aruch says, Sefeis, ain't holding the Píkuach Nefesh Acharov. The klal is that by Píkuach Nefesh we don't start making cheshbonos. Is there rov? Is it rov? Acharov meaning here we're talking about is he Jewish or not Jewish, or rov cases are whatever. Or, maybe we shouldn't say him not or whatever. We always we're machmir comes to Píkuach Nefesh. We feel here tisha odei kachavim. We sell echad b'chalter even if there are 9 goyim and 1 Jew in the chalter. Or perish echad mehem. The Chalter Acheres. One of them walked away to a different Chalter, but awful love Sham Mapolis, and then the building collapsed on him or whatever. Mefachim. Then even on Shabbos, you try to extract him. Himishanishar Kviyas Arishon. Since the original Kviyas of 10 people, 9 people were still living Koma, Pashminan Le Mechsa. General Klal in general call comes to Rov, called the Parish. It's here, and it's also in it's in a few places. It's also in Even Ezer, and also in the Isra Heter. It's about Tisha Chanuyos. Or question is called the Parish. Is that if you have a rove and someone and piece of that rove goes out, so we say. We say called the parish, Rubika parish. Generally, the one who came out is from that row. So the question over here is, well, if there was 9 goyim and one Jew, so the one that came out is probably a goy. But since we say that, well, since there are 9 people still there and they haven't left, that's called kavua, and kavua. We're nechshav. All these dinim is nechshav, k'mechza, mechza. It's not considered a row. So over here, even though one guy left, and it's more than likely it's a big row that it was probably a goy. But al panim, since the original kriyas is there, we say mechza, mechoshish, and therefore we try to save it. About im nek or kulam. They all went their own way. And then he went there and got trapped. Then we don't b'chal Shabbos. Or Kviyas Arishon in Como Amina called the parish Ruba parish. And we do say the klal of called the parish. So therefore. However, there are the Mishnah Berurah brings the Ramah in Even Ezer who holds taka that the host that you do mafachin as a gal that even in a case the whole city is considered kavua. The shiloh over there is about a tinok. If you see a baby in the street. So do you have to call Shabbos to save it or not? Now the din is by generally the din is by Michal Shabbos that you only want to call Shabbos to save a fellow Jew, but different cheshbonos mishum eva because you want to be able to live amongst the goyim and you want to be able to continue saving people and whatever, so we don't make cheshbon.
Or not have them hate you.
Well, that's Eva, to have them hate you.
Explaining Eva.
Right. So therefore, it's well. Here's more of the question. Like the question is also people. If let's say they would stop, an organization would say, okay, we don't treat non-Jews, and they would have their license taken away, and they don't treat Jews. A lot of cheshbonos over here. So therefore, the general call is. It's not, we do treat it, and therefore, even in this case, even if someone was parish, you treat them.
You go ahead and
if you can, unless you
can get a parasol guy, but if not, you don't walk away.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So then, so you don't. Right. So the call is that you do try to treat them. If you can get you can get a non-Jew to call a paramedic, whatever. Then okay, that's better. So that's the general rule. So therefore, these halachas are more in theory the question would be if you're out in the middle of nowhere, whatever. But otherwise, generally, as we do treat and we do treat the goyim as well. Misha nafla alav mapolis, as someone who falls a gimel, someone who is building collapse on him or something. Savik chai, savik mace. We don't know if he's alive. Savik husham, savik ein husham.
You're not sure if he's inside.
Maybe he wasn't there. We saw him there. We don't know. Feeling him to lomish husham. And he was probably there. Savik akum, savik yisrael. We don't know if he was Jewish or not. We saw from a distance. It's like following someone of Hakim Allah, we do go ahead and try to save him. Now, it doesn't mean that if you see, if you see, the earthquake and the building collapse, and the wall collapses, maybe there's someone there, so let's dig him up. That's when you actually saw someone you saw someone there, and the suffix is, did he escape or not? So you're not sure. But not that, well, we should just assume that, everywhere, just start, Píkuach Nefesh, just start extract, try to dig out whatever that we don't do.
It's a reasonable assumption that it was
it's a building. I said it's a wall of a chazar. Yeah, building something else. The people are there. The Mishnah discusses about people who are Machal Shabbos and they have a din of a goy, regarding this, and do we say them or not? The general call is whether we say that it's whether they have a din of Píkuach Shenishba or a shogeg. Chaznisha said Píkuach Shenishba. Rosh says only if everyone they know about Yiddishkeit. Only people who don't know anything about Yiddishkeit is Píkuach Shenishba, but maybe they're just shogegim. Whatever the case may be, however you understand Píkuach Shenishba or not, the advice is that unless you're talking about someone who really they know about Yiddishkeit. Nowadays, knowing about Yiddishkeit, I don't think it means like.
I think the psak has moved very far away from the Mishnah Berurah from today.
I'm saying I think things are much more to the even from Moshe are much more to the extent that they have people have no concept.
The world has completely changed.
They have no concept. So therefore, even if they know what. They know what idea of Torah. They have no idea what in the world that means. So,
according to some poskim, even if they grew up from.
That's okay. Píkuach Shenishba is it's a very broad term. Again, we're not discussing Klapi Shmaya Galia. We're not discussing Din B'Cheshbon, La'asid Lovo, and are they at fault, not on fault. That we're not discussing. There's a specific dinim about Píkuach Shenishba and different things like that, which are Nogea. So even if he's under the dinim of Píkuach Shenishba, it's Nogea different dinim. It's not because we're judging a person. When it comes to saving someone, so it's unless he's, most people nowadays we consider Mumar L'Teyavim, which will be mutter. Even a Mumar. There's a story of in Europe. There was one of these like communists, like real, kosher or something like that, and I know that he was captured by the government or something. So they entered Orach Chaim Brisker. And they said, well, what should we do? They assumed he was going to say, we have to give out money. They assumed he was going to say that we're not. To leave him. He's a kofer. He's this, and he said, Alpha PK, and he said, everyone has to collect money and save him anyway. And we only, these kashmanos are not for us. So, Lavaisa, we save him. I feel matzao marutzatz, even if he's crushed. The guy's not going to live more than another hour or whatever, a certain amount of time. At least you can uncover his head, his face, and check his nostrils. If he's not breathing, and that's considered mace, and then you don't do any more. Doesn't make difference if you say a head injury or it fell on his feet. If you see you check he's not breathing b'chal, Now nowadays, I don't know if you can, if it's resuscitation. I think if it isn't.
If Moshe has like an 8-page chula on this.
Right. It's not if you know
the Harvard standard of death.
Yeah. Okay. There's a question of what's considered. You know, whatever you call paramedic, basically, you don't make cheshbonos. You call paramedic unless you know the guy. You know, like I said, the building collapses on him and he's out, whatever, and even still, you should call the doctor or whatever. Matzah Yonim, hey, Matzah Yonim Mesim Lo Yoimar Kvar Mesim Tachtoinim. Even if you see that the people on top are dead, you don't say, well, maybe the people underneath are Kol Shekain. Especially because we know that sometimes there's pockets of. You know, there are always pockets underneath that sometimes people live there for tkufa and things or whatever. So even if you find people on top are dead, it doesn't mean people on the bottom are necessarily dead because it's different matzavim. If you have a group of goyim who are attacking the Jewish area, Jewish cities, whatever, if they're coming because they want money, then you don't have Shabbos to go out and try to fight them or whatever. You give them money. You know, all they want is money. So then, for Hesed Mama, you can't Bechal Shabbos. So let them take your money. It's nothing to do. But if they're coming to do a pogrom, whatever, Shalom, or that was in Europe. Nowadays, like Filustam, Yotzim Aleim, L'chli Zayin, Mechalim as a Shabbos. Then you take up weapons and Mechal Shabbos to save everyone. It's Pasha. Over here, Hasmucha L'Sefer, it's near the border. Afilu Bo El Iskei Tevim Mekash, Halil is a Shabbos, that the Gemara says, the Chazal say, whatever, that if they're coming just for Mammon, then you do go ahead and Mechal Shabbos, because the border town, it could just lead to invasion, whatever. So therefore, I'm not getting into Klolim about nowadays. I'm not getting into that. It's beyond the scope of the shir about these things. But basically, obviously, if a goy was coming to do violence, obviously you're allowed to call, do what you can. Or whatever you need to do to stop him, no michashbonos. Even if they didn't come, but they're planning. If you heard them planning to come and to go ahead and to do something, and also you're allowed to Chal Shabbos to go ahead and to stop them. Some say that even because if you have one Jew who like don't take it, this is my wife's left there, don't take it. Since it's very common that if they're coming from Mammon, it's not just Mammon, it's going to turn into nefashos, because if anyone resists a little bit, then they'll kill him. So then it's pasha that you also Mechal Shabbos to stop them. Obviously, you have to judge. You can't just go out of bounds. She says, there's a guy coming to rob, and maybe he's coming to rob. Okay, the person has to know the situation. Don't panic. The Mishabur brings also the general thing, same idea that if people living in Jewish countries and they're part of the and they're part of the army, so then they also have to go out on Shabbos. I feel it says because Dina de Malchusa, that he says, because we also have to join in to protect. And this is Dina de Malchusa, because if they don't, if you didn't fight, let's say, used to be in Europe, you didn't fight with the army, then they would get upset and attack the government would go ahead and attack the Píkuach Nefesh for the Yidden. So therefore, so all of these cheshbonos are that if you don't, sometimes the cheshbonos are long-term Píkuach Nefesh, and if you make a short-term, you look at a short-term, a very short-term view. Well, right now I don't have to Chal Shabbos, But the long term is going to be, well, then they're going to go ahead and the government's going to go ahead and the king is going to go ahead and get upset and going to, cause a major problem, whatever. There's a lot of, obviously Rabbanim have to make a long-term cheshbonos about what's okay and what's not. Someone sees a boat sinking in the sea, or you have a flood. Someone's being chased by goyim or even Jews, I guess. But whatever mitzvah al adam.
I have here Mipnei Anas.
Oh, I mean the Girsa here is the Orach Chaim. Who are the Yisrael? As long as there's a sakana.
I also have Mipnei Anas. We'll check the original text. Very interesting.
Anas means a goy also. It doesn't lose it, but it does not dafka. It has to be. It's just talking with their chove. But whatever, people they're coming to rob, cause violence, whatever it is. Mitzvah kol adam l'chal aleim Shabbos l'atzilam. Avada, a person should call the police, call this, I don't know, whatever he needs to do to go ahead and to and to save him. But the question is, the person does have to, like I said, any of these Píkuach Nefesh shilos, the person shouldn't go overboard, and he really just has to think for a second, is there really Píkuach Nefesh here? Right, someone trips and falls and is bleeding, even if it's an older person, and he has a cut on his head, I don't know if he fell on his face, but he cut on his cheek, and, and he's fine, but he has a cut, call. The person has to wear. Obviously, a person does something because he's actually worried, even though, because he doesn't know, I don't think there's any tightness in him, but the person shouldn't just, should just think for a minute before running to, if it's not obvious, to just figure out the situation.
Probably in this kihila there's a tendency to be too machmir. So it's probably more important to stress that if there's a chashash, even if it's a small
right.
Be machal Shabbos. That should be your gut reaction.
Right. Okay. You just again, you have to actually see there's a chashash. In general, if you don't know, so you don't know, it's a suffix. But the point over here is that
mitzvahs asay dechalis to say b'chayv'hem is an
right. No, but I'm saying
if you have a chashash and you're not 100% sure and you don't have access to a local rabbi, you better just go do it. Just go be machal Shabbos.
Kid falls and cuts his lip, and he's bleeding a lot.
Even though it's not a kind of
right. Something like that. I'm saying people panic, see a lot of blood, and panic. Oh well, you cut his lip. Okay, whatever. I call it yotzim. Ayin le'el shemvadim yishurutzim la'onson b'chalal Shabbos. Fine. Test kol yotzim lahatzil choyzim b'chleizainam l'nkayman. Anyone who goes ahead, and this is a general clause. This is Moshe's truth about this for Atzala and someone who goes through matzil. This is talking, for whatever reason. Then they choyzim b'chleizan. This is talking about fighting. In Kohen, they're allowed to go back. So they can go ahead and matzil. Like I said, there's long chuvas that any person from Atzala, goes to save someone, they're allowed to drive back. People follow Shabbos. Here, I think they make in their Tzal they make certain cheshbonos. Depends if they do go in an ambulance and whether they can go back. Whatever. Ayin Sham is far about it. There's different place game. There's different minhagim, but that general rule is that if a person goes out to save, he's allowed to go back so he can save people again. Even as Chal Shabbos. Shin Lamed, Dina Yoledes. Yoledes yikachayla sheish bo sakana. Yoledes is considered a chayla sheish bo sakana. HaShabbos achol ma shetzricha. Anything she needs, yibachal Shabbos. Korim la chachama v'makom l'makom. You can call it a midwife or any nurse or whatever it is. The doctor, obviously to come, or get her to the hospital. Even if she's a summa, you can light a candle because so people can other people can see, right? It's not just only for a chol. Here you need other people to see what's going on. The chiluk by a yoledes is what they say. Since it's derech teva, it's not like a son of holy. It's a derech davar TV, and yes, there's some women who are nifter in childbirth. And some babies who are nifter, but since it's a general the normal thing. So therefore, the klal yoledes is klal b'shayachol l'shalos v'shana. Obviously, it's not. You don't have to drive to the hospital with your elbow. Obviously not. But but that's why in the hospitals here, if you have a goy can do it, or or if you do a b'shinu, you have to do something. It's better. We're going in tzrichin lahavi lakli. Chaverta, Toli, Basara, whatever you can mishana, which is not mishana in the actual thing. It's simply, she needs something, so then if there's a way to mishana it, then you can mishana it. Now obviously if there's no time to think, we don't do that. Beis, Kusis, Ovedis Pachavim, Emi Alin, so the Shabbos, the general din is that, we don't, we don't get involved in being miyaled or going. Obviously, people are working in the hospital, different things, and different cheshbonos. But it basically means that you should go ahead and call another non-Jew to come to deal with the situation if you can. Feel b'davar she'ein bo chilul Shabbos, that we don't, even there's no chilul Shabbos, and then we should do it. And the Mishnah points out that listen, like I said, nowadays, all the cheshbonos are, if you can't start making chilukim, and a person starts making chilukim or chilul Shabbos for one, if the other person works in the hospital, he'll get fired, and then he won't be able to save yidin. Different cheshbonos, there's going to correspond some Yomi cheshbonos like that. Again, this is talking about certain specific situations where he shouldn't put himself out necessarily to do that, and he should find different things. I'm sure there are different ways to schedule things. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but this is the basic halacha, and we go from there. Nikreis yoledes l'chala ala Shabbos. When is she called the yoledes? V'sheteshiv ala mashber, when she's bearing down, they call it. Over shasha adam sheises the yored, or when blood starts flowing. Drinking water is not necessarily called that unless, it depends. Some people feel someone the water breaks 2 days before. I don't know. But if she's having, they say she's having heavy contractions, and then her water breaks, that definitely is a sign. Constant contractions is also a sign. Or else if they're friends have to carry, she can't walk. And nowadays, obviously, the point that you're allowed to, the question gets into, if it's close to Shkia, and she's having contractions every 5 minutes, or 10 minutes, whatever, should you run to the hospital or not? So that could be, you shouldn't, if in first labor, maybe, I don't know, if you know that, and you see that she still has time. If obviously if she's starting to have frequent contractions, whatever, and even if it's close to 5 minutes before Shkia, on Motzei Shabbos, you go.
I think there are also some mental factors involved as well. If she's scared,
you have to get a doctor to give these shir. Kol shlosh yomim harishonim. I feel Amar in a tzricha mechalas Shabbos. 3 days after, even if she doesn't need, if it's in a mechalas sheish sakana, and you turn the air conditioner on, you make sure she's comfortable. V'shlosha ad shiva Amar in a tzricha ein mechalas. She says no, she doesn't need whatever it is to mechal, only to mechal Shabbos. Kamve'elach I feel Amar tzricha ani ein mechalas aleha. After she says no, I need not to do Shabbos. Which means that if she needs something, you're allowed to call a goy to go ahead and to do some sort of malacha to help her out or whatever. If a woman gives birth and she's nifter, you're allowed to do a cesarean to go ahead and to see if because maybe the child's alive. Nowadays, obviously, we can check with machines and monitors and things. So I guess that you check and see if it's alive or not alive. That they can usually tell. And obviously, if it's a suffix, then whatever. Whatever the protocol is. The reason we don't cut open the belly, start during Chol. Also, Mishum the Ibikim lahakir misa sa'aim and karo kol kach she'efshel levad lichiyos. Since we're not bucking when the woman, if the mother's really dead, they say that it's discussed in Shulchan Aruch about something. A lot. There used to be a bell, or not Shulchan Aruch. I've seen it. There used to be a bell on
That's where ringing the bell comes from.
Ringing the bell.
Very people that they thought were dead, but they weren't.
Sometimes people they were knocking and they weren't really dead, and people make mistakes, and there's a bell to shake. If someone was
inside their coffin.
Inside the coffin, and if Taka they woke up, then people would hear it. It was a known thing. Therefore, what the Ramah says, we're not 100% bucky, so don't play around. We don't try to cut her open, whatever. But nowadays, the medicines, we have a much better idea of what's going on. Even still, there's still mistakes, but it's let's see the protocol. That's regular protocol of doctors and medicine. That's how we go. Osin Madura Leones Kol Shoshin Yomi.
Just stop.
Let's just read this. Osin Madura Leones Kol Shoshin Yomi. You're allowed to light a Madura if she's cold during the 3rd day. Even if she has the chills, even in the summer. That's Ayin La'el, Ish Ayavav, and we'll stop here.
So, when we said